Winner of the Horizonte section, the film that Alberto Barbera said something along the lines that he'll get in trouble for not putting your film in competition. He mentioned that, and I think he might have been right there. Explanation for Everything is your third feature film. At this pace, you're about a film every 3 or 4 years. Obviously, the pandemic might have screwed up things. I saw the film last night for a second time, and there's this great sequence. It's Gregory is on a balcony with his wife.
It's not Gregory, it's György, but it is the same, it's George.
George, okay. But George is the translation. Yeah. So George is on the balcony with his wife, and he's looking at youth. And my major takeaway from that sequence is that idealism dies young. And in that juncture, I was thinking that Jakab, he might have been Jakab maybe 30 years before that. He might have had idealistic ideas and was less right, center right. And I was wondering if there was, to understand the psychology of a person like this father figure, would you say that he could have been the teacher maybe 30 years back?
Wow,
it's a complex landscape. Yeah, like your country is really messed up.
Yeah, if you ask me about this kind of question, there are, for me, so there are a lot of personal layers in this movie, especially about the characters, because and the father character is a little bit my father, and we have this heritage and something from the past, but we really want to keep it, and I think about a lot that why, because my family is totally right-wing conservative, and after the regime change in 1990, there was a few months when it was the early part of the democracy, and I remember that when everybody tried to choose the sides and the parties and I don't remember, but I was 10 years old.
Yes.
So I don't remember that we know anything about left or right. We just knew that communism and democracy and the different sides of democracy.
Yes.
And I remember that was a liberal party. It's called in Hungarian SDS, Free Democratic Committee, something like this. And I remember that my father was really open for these parties, but after he changed his mind and totally went to the conservative direction. And so I don't think so. I think he's a person like this.
Yeah.
So even if maybe you know that Viktor Orban around that time was totally liberal, his parties, which calls the same name, Fidesz, it was a liberal party, and 10 years later they changed the direction to the right and to the religious conservative direction. So I don't think so, and it's also about a little bit the generations that because Jakab's character grew up he grew up around when the regime changed, but the father had a lot of experience from the communism.
Of course.
And it's really important if you have traumas because of the communism, it's really another kind of decision that you...
And I think what's interesting about your film is that you don't assign you don't assign you don't finger point. You take all your characters, your male characters. They're all inherently flawed. I quite like the deftness of how you paint these figures. You sort of announce everything in your title. We get this is very much a three-sided coin representation. And sort of like you explained during the Q&A is that you had a starting point in order how to write forward. But what I thought was really, really cool in this in your film is the point of view strategy, specifically the sequence where we're in the classroom. And I love that we go back to that. We see it through the teacher's POV. I was wondering if you could just discuss that aspect about you choosing to physically embed that in a blueprint where we see different POVs. Perhaps
it started from the writing process, and the basic, I think the turning point was when I realized that, okay, because my co-writer asked me to write, I couldn't start the project to write, and my co-writer, she's also my mentor, and she was my teacher in the university. She's an old lady,
okay.
mentor of a lot of director generations. But she never been a co-writer in any project. I mean, she was a dramaturg, kind of dramaturg. But in this part, in this project, he made a lot of work, and we discussed a lot. So we decided she's a co-writer because it was much more than a dramaturg relationship. And she asked me to start with write about one day of the characters, but before the exam. And that was the turning point, because it wasn't really the beginning of the film, but because it was I think just an exercise for me, to do a writing exercise. And when I started, I realized that okay, I can write the day of Abel, and maybe it was just more comfortable. I like to write in a first-person singular.
Yes.
And then I realized that okay, now I had to write the Father's Day, and I could not change the angle, so first-person singular. I realized that this project is about understanding this character, and when we start to talk about the structure of the movie, we decided that after the second day, after the final exam, we need to change and this structure and
shifting perspectives.
Yeah, and also the perspectives. If you watch this movie, at the first part, so Monday and Tuesday, there are a lot of subjective angle, and we usually just follow these characters. But the second part, after the exam, there are a wide angle shot about the characters. So it's
very
the film
noticeable.
language has changed.
Exactly.
Also. Yeah.
I mean, you just reminded us yesterday during the Q&A, not the Q&A, but the presentation that there are no funds for Hungarian cinema. You're lucky if you get any coin. I'm very much a believer of like limitations can actually ask or require a filmmaker to think outside the box. And from the very get-go, you play with the idea of a box, and the vocabulary is very much something that is close to low-budget cinema. And I was wondering if, just in retrospect, if you not getting extra funds, let's say you wanted X amount of euros or whatnot, do you feel, looking back, that it was actually a plus for you to have those perimeters where you don't have the money or the time, let's say?
Well, I think yes. I can imagine that it could be much more comfortable and easier maybe, but you know, if you have a really good budget or a normal budget, filmmakers always talk about that they don't have enough money. So I think it's a usual problem. But in this case, if I think about the crew, it helped a lot because our crew, because we didn't have enough money or enough
This
money
is
for
low budget filmmaking.
totally low budget, especially the shooting. So more than half of the budget was the post-production because we won money by the Slovakian Film Fund for post-production. So for the shooting, we realized that we need people who are maybe beginner. Lot of crew member never made any movie. For example, the production assistant was my really good friend, and I really know that he's a good guy to organize stuffs and ask people that we don't have money and we would like to shoot here. Is it possible? He's a really good person to make it. And he was open because it was fun to do one feature movie at summer. He was open because he had time, and it was so much fun to do it. And so because of we didn't have money, we were rejected by the film fund. It was also helped a lot because we could much more better this teamwork. It was team,
yes,
not crew.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think this is the most important, that it wasn't a crew, it was a team, and we didn't do because of money like a job. We do because we wanted to prove something, that we, even if there is no option, we can make this movie.
You, Gábor, outside of cinema, how do you think about? How do you nourish yourself? I imagine you're a very politicized person to begin with. What are some of your influences? What do you think subconsciously filtered into this film?
It's a question like what is your favorite directors or something. I think
or maybe
I changed a lot the last few years, because when I started to study in the film history and film theory, I was a person who loved everything, every part of the film history, silent movies,
all the different
40s,
movements.
50s, and I'm still, but I think I'm much more rationalist and try to recognize the situation, and it's also because my producer friend, it's really close to me. We are work I think at the first year of the university. So more than 15 years ago we started to work together, and usually I know our limit, and I think this is the main thing that we could dream together about movies. But and I'm fan of course the Romanian cinema and the Iranian cinema and lot of things, but I don't have one especially something movie or directors.
Yes.
I think you need to change your approach usually for every story, and of course for every situation, because if you are rejected and there is no any option, somehow you need to do it, because this is your mission to make movies. And for me this is the only way how I'm kind of satisfied to express myself. If I'm write poems or songs, or I just try to paint or take a photo, I'm quite okay, but I'm not totally satisfied. But in this case, that was the first time that when we finished the editing, I was so satisfied that never ever before.
Wow. Okay.
Even if the first and the second feature was successful, but I felt something that was, I was satisfied with it.
That's great, because after Phil's first film, you got help from the Cannes Ciné Fondation, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that allowed you to make your second film.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that that Hungarian cinema, in your case, had that early support. It's so indicative. So if you're feeling really comfortable putting the final touches on your third film, I think that says a lot about your path. So I just wanted to say köszönöm for your time. I really enjoyed this film. I think it's so layered. There's so much stuff happening. And even, when a fridge gets defrosted or unplugged, we look at it in a different way. What does power mean to this young man? He's taken away power, and now he's owning power. And I think there's so much matter here, and it's so much fun. So yeah, just thank you for this film, and congratulations. And looking forward to seeing what your fourth feature might look like.
Me too. I'm always happy that and also surprised, because we want to react with this movie about the Hungarian political situation, about, of course, a lot of personal stuffs, which what happened with me, and it's a Hungarian story, but
it's relatable on so many levels.
Yeah, and I always surprised, because when you write, you shoot, you editing, you focus on just to tell this story for to the Hungarians, and I'm really happy that it could work international.
Yes, exactly. And just to let go with one question, you premiered this in Hungary already, right?
Yeah.
What was the reception there? Were they just as surprised or divided as the characters in the film? Like, how was it received?
It was the how can I say it, it was the most viewed movie in this year.
Okay, congratulations.
So Hungary, it's 9.8 million people in there, and now 75,000 people saw this movie. So we are really satisfied with the numbers, and also the reaction was really so. It
was a conversation piece.
There is a conversation, discussions, and of course a lot of argument because of the movie, but I think it's really good. The best thing if you can do, if you make a movie and after there are reaction, not the silent.
You make film to polarize people sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.